Hey, Scott from Aristocob.com here.
And Seth from SethMarkwood.com.
Together, along with you, the three of us, we are Markwood Men's Breakfast Club. Welcome back once again, and good morning, boy.
Good morning, Homer.
How are you?
I'm trying to line my pipe. Stop talking to me. I'm great, though. Thank you.
So we are in the middle of Tobacco Advent and still counting down and up to Christmas. Hope that you are following along and enjoying the questions and conversations that are happening there. But hey, it's a regular weekly episode.
Mm-hmm.
So I just got back from California.
What are you smoking today?
I'm smoking Lane 1Q.
Of course.
In an awesome custom pipe made for me, and we opened this up. This was, I don't know if you remember, this was a pipe from a guy named Mark who sent this to me, and it got lost in our move, and it was almost a year after I received it that I opened it. And it's a really funky, cool pipe. I just got back from California, and I saw something really interesting, and I was traveling with a sales rep, and we were talking about some of the things that we saw in the shop. And it was a shop in Los Angeles, not too far from Hollywood. And the customers of this shop are some pretty rich and famous people. And we sell hardware for cabinet makers and furniture makers, and we get to see some really cool stuff. And the hardware is German and very innovative, or Swiss, European in general. And these guys were installing some incredibly expensive pocket door hardware. Mm-hmm. These are for, you think like the old entertainment centers where you have a pair of doors that swing open and then pocket. Well, this hardware will handle doors that are up, well, think of a sheet of plywood, 4 feet wide and 8 feet tall,
yeah.
and would allow, in this case, to bifold and then pocket. Really, really cool hardware. And so we were there to look at this job that the customer had just finished and make sure that everything went along smoothly. And as we were talking about the quality of work they were doing, which was just spectacular, the guy was talking about some of the tables that they were, or nightstands that they had recently built. And he mentioned something that they were using ray leather. And finally, when the salesperson I was traveling with finished their conversation, I brought it back to that. I said, you mentioned ray leather. What is ray leather? Any idea what ray leather is? Turns out ray leather is leather made from the skin of a manta ray.
Cool.
And so this guy started taking out samples of this, and these are samples of leather that are about yay long, about 2 feet long, shaped almost like a teardrop, with some cutouts where the eyes were. And if you held the leather up, you could see little holes where the nostrils are.
Wow.
And it was a couple different colors. It's not finished, but it was dyed. One of them was black and had a cutout in it that was about, I don't know, maybe 8 inches square, not quite square, but rectangular. And he was showing us pictures of a nightstand that they had built that had 8 pieces of this ray leather glued down to a substrate, and then no finish, because you can't put a finish on it. It's already waterproof, but it can be dyed, but it cannot be stained. Kind of a crazy juxtaposition. And they built 2 nightstands with this, and the guy was showing us that each of these leather, what would you call it? It's not a pelt. Each of these pieces of skin was $300.
Wow.
So the top of this nightstand had 8 of them in it. And I said, so is it waterproof? And he goes, well, yes, it's waterproof. However, if someone were to take a glass that had alcohol in it and set it on there, it would ruin the top. And I said, so what would they do? And he said, we'd replace the furniture or replace the top. And I'm like, my brain is just trying to get around this. And then he could tell I was thinking about it. He goes, look, the clients that we serve, that's nothing. Replacing the top of a nightstand that costs for them thousands of dollars is nothing. And it brought about an interesting thought, an interesting discussion, because I've been in situations on this job where I've seen some pretty opulent things. The same shop was using white gold leaf, and they were making a nightstand that was going to be framed. The headboard was going to be framed, and they had these turnings that were cut into half round. So imagine like a dowel this big around that's been cut in half, and that's going to make up the frame. So facing you would be a half round, and then it's carved very intricately in flutes, but they're not continuous grooves that run down the whole length of it. It goes a flute maybe 8 inches, and then half of a flute offset from that.
Okay.
So hard to describe this, but a really interesting pattern. And the guy was in the process of sanding down, hand sanding each of the contours. They had already filled it with like a auto body filler, like Bondo. We're sanding that down. He was telling us that they use automotive finishes on these things, and that this will get sanded and finished and sanded and finished and sanded and finished and sanded many times until it's glass smooth, and then they will apply the gold leaf. And he showed us the white gold leaf, and the gal that I was traveling with had never seen gold leaf at all. And he opens this package, and this little leaf of, think of it like aluminum foil, it's just billowing in the wind just from him opening the box. It's like just like a hair thick, and that'll all get attached to this headboard. So we're talking a headboard, thousands and thousands of dollars for this headboard. And you see all that and you think to yourself, no one needs a headboard that's $10,000. No one needs nightstands that are thousands of dollars. But then you look around the shop, and there were probably 12 craftsmen, very well paid, highly skilled, families that they're supporting as a result of their skills and the result of from these customers that they have that are purchasing. And it helps to put into perspective. I think we've talked about this before, those biospheres, those blown glass, sealed glass containers that have water and have a couple brine shrimp or shrimp in it and a little bit of a plant, and you get a little bit of algae growing, and you get the plant growing, and the plant is putting out oxygen, and the oxygen is necessary for the algae to grow and live, and it's necessary for the shrimp, and it keeps the water fresh, and the moisture in the water helps to keep it all alive, and the nitrogen from the shrimp pooping feeds the plant, and all of those parts live harmoniously together. And if the shrimp dies, it all dies. It all dies. And I think about the situations like where our economy took a dive back in 2008, 2009. I thought about this. It was like a loop of our community, each one of us taking $1 out of our wallet and handing it to the person in front of us, while the person behind us is handing us $1, right? And we're all, I'm selling hardware to a guy who's making cabinets. The guy who's making cabinets is renting a building and buying lumber. The timbermen are cutting the timber and getting paid for that, and that has to go on roads, and there's people who are being paid to do the roads, and the tax dollars go, and this and it's all this one big organism that we have as a society. And when somebody says to their dollar, you know what, I think I'm going to hold on to this for a while, right? The shrimp dies. And the thought I had was, pray for the shrimp, right? Pray for those folks that are the least among us, because they're just as necessary as the folks at the top of the pyramid. It was a neat thing to see, and to see that craftsmanship. You do not see that at IKEA. We have the furniture market here in High Point, North Carolina, where we see really interesting furniture, but that furniture is for the masses. And it takes inspiration from those one-off pieces that get built and designed by some artist. And it was a neat experience. I don't know what your experience is with stuff like that, but I think about the fact that all of our output is necessary.
Yeah, we in our industry we talk about it as a circular economy, where we we deal in products that are sometimes seen as the end of that economy, and so there are those in our industry that are trying to point people towards the fact that no, actually, it can continue going beyond where we are. So we manufacture grease interceptors, and they capture grease, which is typically a waste product that without our grease interceptors, trapping them would just go straight down into the sewers and be eaten up by bacteria before the water can be cleaned out. And so, even with our products, it's captured, it's then pumped out, and that grease is sometimes just used in that way. But there are companies that are now realizing, hey, this is now a resource. So what can be done with that? And now we're seeing that, hey, the grease, if it's a high enough quality, can be used to create biodiesel, which can be used to power plants, to do other things. It can be used to
Charge your
continue
Tesla.
on and create this cycle where, hey, now there's a way that we can use this, what was seen as a waste product, in a new way, continuing to create jobs, creating more opportunity, creating energy that goes back into the top of the funnel of the system. And so we do talk about that, and we do think about that. You're right. If we also see sometimes the other side of it is that if you've got this chain and one of the links in the chain stops being productive for the cycle, you can allow that dollar holder, right? If you're the person that's giving your dollar to them and then they're just holding on to the dollar, you can continue to just give your dollar to them, or you can, unfortunately for them, bypass them to go to the next person in the chain. And that's a decision that we have to make sometimes too, and I think that's something that more industries are having to struggle with, the way it has impacted us. We are in a industry that is traditionally following very, very strict distribution channels. We're part of the plumbing industry, and the plumbing industry are very loyal in their distribution. You have distributors or regional reps, and the reps sell to the wholesalers sell to the plumbers sell to the customer.
And there's real human relationships there.
Absolutely. And so you want to protect those relationships. You want to protect each link in that chain. However, if one of those links stops adding value and is only adding unnecessary, non-value giving cost, then as a company at the top of that chain or the furthest away from the customer, we have to decide, well, do we move one link down the chain and bypass that, or do we continue to just trust this system? And so we've had to make that choice. And we are trying to expand the number of strategic relationships we have lower in the chain, because we found, unfortunately, in some areas, some of those pieces are just not adding the value to the whole ecosystem. If the shrimp stops pooping and stops producing the nitrogen, maybe you replace the shrimp with something else.
Well, the shrimp dies and produces a little more fertilizer.
That's right.
At the end of their life.
And so,
yeah,
we do struggle with that and deal with that. So, yeah, it's interesting. I've got a friend who has worked recently in two different jobs, doing similar work in each. One, he is doing more of the IKEA style, he's creating products that are designed to look nice, but maybe not be high quality. He moved from that to an opportunity where he's actually getting to be a craftsperson and make both high quality and nice looking things. And he's so much happier because he finds it just more fulfilling to his spirit to be doing that. So that's interesting.
So speaking of high quality things, we don't want to spend much time talking about fidget spinners again, but I finally got a fidget spinner I like out of Amazon. You know, I decided that I don't have time to shop for a fidget spinner, but I did return both of those fidget spinners, and I did some more research, and I found a fidget spinner that just a couple years ago was $50, and I found guys on YouTube talking about it. It has a ceramic bearing inside of it. It's got 3 individual weights that I guess are tuned, and they can be removed, and I suppose if one of them is heavy, which we were noting, there is still
very slight, but I mean, they're not going to be, you can't.
But I could take that weight out right there and I could tune it, right? You can tighten or loosen the spinner's grip on the bearing, so if it gets like too much slop in between, I can replace that. Like I said, it was $50. I picked this thing up for less than $8 on Amazon now, so it was definitely affected negatively by the drop in prices from the fidget spinner boom.
So he's
so happy with this.
So happy with it, and he's telling me about it, and in less than 5 minutes, I managed to kind of break it. So he's got another one at home that he's going to compare.
Yeah, because I bought a second one immediately.
I did the thing that you do with them. Like, it's all fidget spinners, the way the hand piece goes on is it screws in 2 separate pieces where your fingers hold, you screw it in. So I unscrewed it just to see what the bearing looked like, put it back together, and all of a sudden spin it, and it's making like a tinking sound.
Are you hearing a tinking?
Not when spinning. Let me see it. Yeah.
It's got a side-to-side tink. But you know, all ball bearings, and actually I think it's a roller bearing, all ball bearings have got some play.
Yeah, it's making the noise.
So I'm going to compare it to the other one.
It wasn't doing this earlier. We're both pretty sure it wasn't doing that earlier, but it still works beautifully. I want one. I'm going to get one.
It's almost too smooth now.
Yeah.
As silly as that sounds, the way I use these is I'll be reading or doing something on a computer, and I'll just have this thing quietly spinning down below my desk or my hand, and it gives me just enough tactile response that it's kind of feeding information to my nervous system, and it helps me stay focused. This is so smooth, I'm almost looking forward to it getting a little bit of lint in it.
So you mentioned that flat on a table, you're getting 4-minute long spins.
Yeah.
That's crazy. All right, so I have a pipe-related question.
That's crazy.
I have a pipe-related question before we wrap up. So I almost did something before filming this, and I paused for a moment and thought, I don't know if that's actually wise to do on smoking a pipe, but I'm pretty confident I have done it before.
Yeah.
I had smoked half a pipe, roughly. Smoked my tobacco down about halfway, and we were getting ready to film a longer video. I wanted to continue smoking the pipe that I had, and knew that during the video I would go maybe halfway through the video and would have that gone. I didn't want to have to repack. I didn't want to waste the tobacco that I knew was unburnt. And so, what is the consensus on adding tobacco into an already burning pipe?
Ugh. Okay. So I have an opinion. I would have moved the tobacco to a different pipe, but first I would have added fresh tobacco to the pipe, so I'd fill it halfway,
So your burning ash is on top. Or you're burning,
and then put the other tobacco from
coals
the other
on
pipe
top.
into this. If you go the other way around, or if you add fresh tobacco on top of the burning tobacco, it never smokes right.
Mm. And that's because both you're burning kind of from the middle and the top, and you would relight the top, but then everything is being filtered through that very thick.
I find it will never burn to the bottom
Yeah.
if you do it that way.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my experience. I
It
don't know.
can be done.
Maybe you've tried.
It can be done, but it's not ideal.
Oh,
right?
it's far from ideal.
Because I have done. I know I have done that before. Well, add a little bit and keep smoking.
Yeah. No.
So definitely don't do it with something that you want to enjoy.
I've had a pipe that I had put down. It was halfway smoked, and then an hour later I wanted to finish it. I will knock out the ash, get down to the unburnt tobacco, and then add some tobacco on top of that, and smoke down to it. I don't care for that, but I've done that.
Right. But like right now, if I added some tobacco on top of this,
It wouldn't burn right.
no good. All right.
Nah, that's my experience. We all have different opinions, so somebody's liable to say, "Oh, I do it all the time."
That's true. You have any experience with that? All right, so we are going to wrap up. We are smack dab in the middle of Tobacco Advent. Keep watching those. There's a video, new Tobacco Advent video today, and will continue to be one all the way through Christmas, and even maybe after Christmas. What? So hopefully we will continue to see you around for all of those. Keep up with the great commenting and video responses. They have been just great this year. So thank you for everyone that has participated there. And we look forward to seeing you today on today's Tobacco Advent video.
I do have a favor to ask.
Oh, please do it.
We never asked this.
All right.
You hear other YouTubers will say, be sure to like, comment, and share. We've never asked anybody to share a video, I don't think. If you would, do us a favor. Pick the Tobacco Advent episode that you've enjoyed the most.
Yeah.
Share it on social media somewhere. Put a link to it on Facebook or wherever you are. I have a favorite. Do you have a favorite yet?
No, I don't remember any of them.
My favorite was day 14.
Is that the aliens?
It was the aliens.
Yeah, the aliens.
But that went right back to back with what we talked about on day 13. So 13 and 14 are my two favorites, but not to influence you.
Yeah, aliens was probably my favorite, but that's because it was a little bit ridiculous. Kinda, the wheels came off on that one, and that was at the end of the filming day, where we got real punchy. But that's the way it just goes. So.
It is. All right, hey, thanks for joining us. See you tomorrow on Tobacco Advent Day, whatever it is. What
See
day?
you today on Tobacco Advent.
Oh, that's right.
Day
That's right.
today, whatever today is.
Make it a great
18.
day. Bye.
Bye.
Whatever today is.
18.